Hi, we will start today our revision about completing the square. Completing the square is a method used in order to solve quadratic equations. I posted on Google Classroom a PowerPoint presentation just to remind you about how do we solve quadratic equations by factoring, by trial and error. So hopefully you will have a look on this. And in this video, I will start by how do we solve quadratic equations by completing the square. And then in the next video later on, we'll be discussing the last method in solving quadratic equations, which is by using the quadratic formula. Before we start with completing the square, I want to remind you about what we call in math the perfect squares. The perfect squares is when you have a plus b to the power 2 or a minus b to the power 2. And by expanding brackets, which means you can write it as a plus b times a plus b, you will be getting a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And for this one, you will be getting a squared. The only difference is that we have minus in the middle, which is minus 2ab plus b squared. Why I want you to do this? For example, if I tell you we have x squared plus 12x plus, let's say this is c, and I tell you find c. By completing the square, you should know that what this term should be in here. This one, it's x squared. This one should be 2 times x times a value. And then this c will be this value that you write in here, but we have to square it. And this value over here will be what? Will be 6. And then this will be 6 squared. So this one, if I want to complete its squared, it will be x squared plus 12x plus what? Plus 36. And once the square is completed, you can write it in its bracket form as x plus 6 to the power 2. So hopefully it will give you an idea. Another example for this will be the following. If you have x squared plus let's say 8x plus what will be the third term, which means what will be your c if this is written in the form a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. What the value of your b is it going to be? So if I want to solve it, I will find that a is equal to x. Then for this one, 8x is equal to 2ab, or which is in case 2ab, and then x is a is x, so 8x will be equal to 2 times x times b. Cancel the x on both sides, divide by 2 again on both sides, you will get that b is equal to 4. So what you will be getting? You will be getting in here 16, and then when you complete the square, you will get x plus 4 raised to the power 2. So what am I having in here? Every time I have x squared plus bx, I am dividing the coefficient of x by 2, and then I'm squaring it in order to find b squared. Why am I need to do it this way? Because, for example, in one of the past paper question, they tell you you have x squared minus 9x plus 12. Can you write it in the form x minus p squared minus q, and they want you to find the values of p and q. What am I going to do? I start with the first two terms. The first one is x squared, so the coefficient of x squared is 1, so I can immediately divide the term in the middle, which is in this case 9, by 2. So what do I get? I get my b is 9 divided by 2 squared, and since it's an expression, so you cannot add or subtract any value to it, you have to keep it as it is, so you do minus 9 over 2 squared, and then you write this 12 back. The first three terms of this expression, which is x squared minus 9x plus 9 over 2 squared, it can be written by completing the square as x minus 9 over 2 to the power 2. And let us simplify the last two values, which will be minus 81 over 4 plus 12. How can I simplify minus 81 over 4 plus 12 to write it as a simple fraction by having a common denominator up and down? So you will be getting x minus 9 over 2 to the power 2 minus 33 over 4. And this one, it's of the form x minus p to the power 2 minus q. Therefore, p is 9 over 2, since you have minus here and minus here, so p is only 9 over 2. Same for q, you will be getting to be 33 over 4. We will discuss tomorrow in our Zoom sessions more examples related to completing the square and how will I be solving quadratic equations using completing the square. So for tomorrow we will continue. Hopefully it will give you an idea and remind you about the completing the square objective or concept in